What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon.
I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close.
What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Douglas. Is it Dowell? Is that how you pronounce it?
That's correct. Perfect. You nailed it.
Yeah, victory. And I'm having a great day today, Douglas, because my very favorite audience member is here today. And why are they here today? Is because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate investors, syndicators, and operators. And why do I do that? Well, first of all, you need to know the people who are in your industry to see if there's any overlap in your business. And also, it's the law. You're not allowed to share your private deals unless you already have a prior substantive relationship, and it has to be documented, which sounds like a bunch of BS, but it's part of why we're here today. But Douglas, before we get more excited in legal minutia, can you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Sure thing. I appreciate the legal minutia thing intimately. I actually did practice law for a brief period there, probably longer than I wanted. Also done commercial real estate W-2 wise, and now venturing into the entrepreneurial space myself. So we're looking to do multi-tenant retail is our current flavor, and we're also opening up our eyes to the opportunities that may transpire in the multifamily space.
All right, beautiful. So you've already got some experience. That's great. But sometimes on this show, I have newbies, and there's a few things that I need to include to qualify people. So the first one is fill in this blank. We're ultimately talking about commercial investment here. So tolerance for risk is something that's really important to establish before you talk to people seriously about any sort of topic like that. So the question is, there are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What do you think, Douglas?
This is going to be a fun answer, but I think crypto's crazy. So that's just me.
And compared to like a commercial property, with like what jumps out to you that makes it better than crypto?
Well, the main thing is you're not going to zero. And can you say that about crypto? I mean, you might. I mean, you might be able to say it won't go to zero, but you've got a physical asset. At the very worst case scenario, you have a physical asset, and the likelihood of going to zero is almost zero with commercial real estate, I think. And really, in fact, most of the risk that associates with commercial real estate is all tied to the debt stack, not the physical property.
Yep, I love it. All right, so this next part here, I mentioned before, sometimes I interview newbies, so I'd like to ask them their motivation for getting into this. And
Sure.
after all, they'll know that, but they won't necessarily know what they're going to be doing in the deal. So the first motivation I found is some people are looking to preserve their purchasing power. So especially if you already get cash flow from the assets you own, and that's how you make ends meet, then this is going to be your main motivation for getting a new property is to stave off inflation. You don't want to be selling off any of your assets. That's counterproductive. So you really have to keep on making acquisitions. But this is not my priority right now. My priority right now is because I got a background in tech. And the problem with having a tech job or anything that's high wage earning, high salary, is that you're paying more in tax than anybody else. So it hit me. It's like, well, how can I pivot to make it where I'm accumulating equity, aka that wealth, instead of giving half of it away in the form of tax? So that's what I'm up to. But a lot of the people I'll run into, especially at the beginning, they're looking to fast track their retirement. But really what that means is gaining control back of your time, being able to choose when and where you end up working. But on top of that, there's also an idea that maybe you want to work fewer months per year or fewer weeks per month or something like that. But that's not the case with the next group. The next group, they're just plain ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They really want that generational wealth to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold down a day job. And they're going to be hustling to their 90s, which is fantastic. Just like the last group, I like to say they want to save the world. But basically, what it really means is they found a sector of society, or maybe it's animals or the environment, or they want to send people into space. Who knows what it is, but they realize that you need that financial nest egg if you're really going to have a humongous impact on a sector of society. So out of those five, what really jumps out at you? What best describes you, Douglas?
I really resonate with the time the business instead of employee sector. If you've read of course it's escaping me right now, the quadrants that were presented. You want to move from an employee to business as soon as possible, and investment. And in fact, what I love about commercial real estate, it is the hybrid between business and investment. So you're kind of doing both, really, and I think that is very attractive for that reason.
I love that. Yeah, especially because I mentioned the fast track to retirement one. Quite frankly, if you're not doing this, I don't think that you're leaving the door open for a retirement, and that even is if you're a high wage earner. I see it again and again. People are blasting through as much as they're making, and just like football players.
Or worse yet, like you're in the case like Enron, where you think you're saving for retirement, and the company gets playing around with some stupid stuff with derivatives, and the next thing you know, poof, there goes the 401k.
Exactly.
The control aspect of it is huge for me. I have to admit.
Yeah, and being able to look people in the eye, and knowing the entire team, which brings us to the next segment, which is the dandoesdeals.com commercial roll die. If you go to dandoesdeals.com, you can download your own copy that doesn't ask for your email address or any silliness like that, which is really, really dumb from a marketing perspective. You should always ask for the email address, but I don't. And why? It's because I want you to be able to effectively communicate on the topic of commercial real estate. So that's why I go through all 6 of these in every single episode of Chance Encounters, so that you know how my guest fits into these deals. But let's start with the repositioner. Repositioners are acquisition people. They're looking at a bunch of different properties, and the first thing they're going to want to do, they have a fancy word for it, they're going to underwrite the deal. That means they're going to do the arithmetic. They're going to do the math. They're going to find out, first of all, because they're interacting with sellers, they need to find out, is this property even making the amount that they think it is? And after that, they're looking for some upside. Okay, so in other words, they want to find out, how can this property end up making more money? And there are 3 different tools in a repositioner's tool belt to make more upside. The first one is more advantageous lending, or even just knowing what the lending situation is right now could be the only way that you can even pull off a deal in this environment right now. But more frequently, the repositioner will have to figure out how to change the property to make more money. And that might be an operations piece of cutting expenses, stopping those Benjamins from going down the toilet there. But other than unclogging toilets and taking out trash and cleaning up, mowing lawns and all that kind of stuff, there are other operations pieces, like one of the ones that I contribute, which is a marketing piece. That's one of my fortes, and that's going to make sure that your vacancy rate stays low. But honestly, operations right now, that's probably not going to be enough to make the deal really work. So often a repositioner needs a contractor team. They need to fix it up. They need to put some extra money into it so that the units are nicer, and then that way the tenants will pay more. That's I know that you're talking about some multi-tenant retail, so they'll want to have more control of that piece on their own. But usually we're talking to multifamily investors specifically. But one problem a repositioner might have is, if they're like me, I'm from the internet. So that means I can't be the boots on the ground. I can't be the local. I can't be the guy who's there in an hour or two to sort out whatever's going on. I don't even want to have to find my passport. But that looks like the deal's owners, but of course the financiers are involved. The financier is anybody who just deals with money and paper. And of course that means that they can't be on the GP team if they're sheerly doing that. But the financiers, when the repositioner has the deal in hand and says, hey, I need to borrow tens of millions of dollars. So you got tens of millions of dollars you want to lend me? Well, the financier is going to have one more question, which is, who's the KP? Okay. And a KP is a person who already owns a similar asset. And you're going to need somebody like that to be eligible for the loan. Okay. So even if you're Elon Musk and you want to buy a 350 unit apartment complex, then to get a loan, you're going to need somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset. You're also going to need a certain amount of liquidity, and you're going to need a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you got all those pieces, you got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So Douglas, as far as your core competencies go, you already mentioned being an attorney in some sort of past life or something similar. But
right.
What are your core competencies as far as what you contribute to your future deals?
Definitely on the financial side and underwriting is where I really shine. Especially raising capital for deals is really my lane that I'm carving out right now currently. Also, really, and I love development, for example, love ground up, but this is a prime example of self-awareness. I once built a birdhouse in a high school shop, Dan. City came in and condemned it.
Okay, there you go. Was it not zoned for?
It wasn't habitable. So the bottom line is knowing that, okay, in terms of executing a development deal, my best play in that case is to partner with somebody who's really good at the execution of a development deal, for example. So, and that's another big thing, and I really appreciate, Dan, what your message is it takes a village to make a commercial deal come together, and think about your piece of it and what you're good at, and then stay in that lane. Because I think the trouble is when you get outside that, that's where you really struggle, I think, and there's no reason really to do that.
Yep, good stuff. So some of the brains, some of the money, and just some other fun stuff like that. Good stuff. So my next question then has to do with the ideal property then. And when commercial investors are talking to each other and saying, hey, what's your buy box? What's your ideal property look like? They're really asking for three and a half things. First thing is the geography. So what states, what counties, what neighborhoods even, okay? You're going to want specifics as far as finding what's really ideal for the person. The second thing is going to be unit count in a lot of cases. So Douglas was mentioning his multi-use retail and a multi-tenant retail, and so that's going to have unit count. Multifamily is going to have unit count. Other forms of there's also like industrial is another form of commercial, but that goes off of square footage. But you still have to have that idea of the unit count, the size of the deal to find out that sweet spot. And then the third and a half one, they're both called class. The first one is the condition of the building, as in like, is it all beat up and old, or is it brand spanking new and just fantastic looking in a great area? So the second meaning of class, though, is the area that I was really alluding to for the second part, which is what's the crime rate like? What are the school districts where the property, like how good are they? And so the way that they rate those classes is just like in grade school. So like D is very, very bad. And then, you could have like a C- or a B+, A+, all that kind of stuff. So Douglas, as far as properties that are easier to say yes to and more difficult to say no to, what's the best thing for somebody to drop in your lap?
Sure thing. If somebody were to contact me today as what I'm interested in working with today, I would say multi-tenant retail in Mountain West is probably the best way to describe my lane. Definitely B or B+ areas. Property can be, in fact, ideally, is somebody come to me with a D property in a B area, but that really just really rare. But essentially, I'm looking for fairly close to, the ideal property is 70% occupied for a multi-tenant deal for me to get a hold of. But anyway, typically it has some vacancy problems, and the ideal property for me has 70% occupancy, and we go from there.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. So then the next question, you were talking about how it really is a team sport, this whole commercial investing thing, and it really is a beautiful thing. We end up being so supportive as a community that I don't tend to see that in the other industries I've been in, and the reason is because you need to refer each other to make sure that everybody's got enough going on, and that you really do depend on so many different people. But because of our separate skill sets, we're always better suited to help some people more than others. Me personally, I'm always on the lookout for sponsors and KPs, and that's because of my marketing and my automation and online funnel building and CRM experience. So that way, if they're a sponsor or a KP already, they've got some sort of foundation that makes that a guy like me really is more fuel to the fire rather than another warm body on a team. So that's who I'm looking for. But Douglas, without enticing any investors, if you have any 506B deals on the go, so don't entice any investors. Who
Well,
are you?
I can tell you, I love 506B for its purpose, but I am tending toward 506C personally.
Yep.
But definitely appreciate the 506B use. It's like the traditional tried and true method, and I love 506B for its use. But I'm so attracted to the marketing ability with 506C, and I think you can keep your deals crisp and clean and no caffeine, as they say. But for sure, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I love that. It's like usually my one liner for like why not a 506c. It's because of the verification, the third party verification process, which is a little bit more invasive than some people like, and that's why I heard that 85% of the exemptions are B's and not C's, which that was shocking to me because. Of course,
and I would agree. And here's the really big one for most people, not in my case. But if your close network of friends and family, that opens up a lot more opportunity to your friends and family network, because most of your friends and family are probably not accredited.
Right. Exactly. And it really ties your hands. That was the other one that I've heard that I liked, is that, even accredited investors run out of accredited friends. So,
That's right.
right. It's a harsh reality, but as far as who you're best set up to help, then, so you do the full public advertising route. So you can go ahead and say, anybody who's really got cash to deploy, it's, give me a shout. So,
and absolutely.
Your ideal person, or is it
if there's somebody who would like to scale up their multi-tenant retail investing, I'm probably a great partner for that. Can help them go to the next level in terms of what they're trying to do if they've had a couple properties. That's probably who I'm most useful to currently, is somebody who's looking to scale their business in terms of multi-tenant retail.
All right, beautiful. And the way to reach out to you, we ended up finding each other through some meetups. I find everybody through LinkedIn these days. So what's the best way?
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn is number one. Twitter is also very great. Very active on Twitter as well. So one of those two are really the best way to get a hold of me.
All right, beautiful. And the only thing I have left is actually not for you. It's actually for you in the audience, which is I've got this social activism thing going on right now, and it's called Kill All the Ugly Red Buttons. And if you look under my left hand, you'll see there is, in fact, a very big and very ugly red button. And the only way to get rid of that big, ugly, it's embarrassing, okay? The button is embarrassing. You don't want somebody looking over your shoulder and saying, OMG, they've got the big, ugly red button. Like, have they no shame or sense of propriety? All you have to do is you click on it, and it costs you absolutely nothing. It's all it means is that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. It's completely free. But really, the reason why I'm guilt tripping you into this is because it means that if enough people do that, then YouTube might actually start paying for these videos instead of me. And I think that's really rad. So if you could help me out with that, that'd be fantastic. But I honestly just appreciate you watching for all this time. And just like Douglas, this has been fantastic getting to know you better. Thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. And what is that? Like, subscribe, and share, folks. Dan's got a lot of great content, and he's going to shoot you straight.
Awesome. Thanks, Douglas. All right.
You bet.
Awesome.
Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me. Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506BME?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.